Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dr. Glenn Vo, and welcome to another episode of the Dr. Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm super excited with my guest today, but before I introduce her, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to start an online course or do a virtual summit and you didn't know where to start? And what if I told you that there was someone out there, literally you can push the easy button and she can come and help you out and get these things launched? And what if I told you that this person has all these years of experience, have worked with the who's of who in marketing and consulting world, and she is a guest today? Well, our guest today is Robyn Bennet. It is my pleasure to introduce to you the technology queen herself, Robyn Bennet. Robyn, what's up? Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Glenn.
I'm so happy to have you on because here's the thing. There's so many people, especially I have a Facebook group of people wanting to get out of the 9-to-5 and create side gigs and create another income stream. And the biggest problem they always have is, man, I don't understand the technology. What's a funnel? What's this platform, that platform? I have all this information I want to share. And then they get bogged down in the platforms. And I say, look, if you're a chef, right, and you're specialized on cooking a certain cuisine, are you going out there and raising the livestock and growing your own, vegetables and stuff like that? No. Do you go and actually create the flour and all that? No. You get all the ingredients and you get it from someone who knows what they're doing, and then you put it together, right? You help entrepreneurs do that, Robyn. That's why I'm super excited to bring you on. So, okay, I'm going to have to stop talking here. So we're going to go back in time a little bit. Talk about your background. Talk about what you did before you started becoming, the technology queen for entrepreneurs like myself.
Well, since I was 17, that's like 10 years ago. I kid. Since I was 17, I've always worked in offices, admin. I finished high school, did some computer training at LaSalle College, but my goal was always, I want to one day be a secretary. And that was the goal. So I always worked in offices, and I was one of those people who sat in front of the computer like the first time, and they had me do some data entry that someone was always doing. And I managed to speed up the process times 3. I found shortcuts. I found ways that no one even knew how to do. And so I was always like really computer savvy. I'll never forget, and I just want to tell this really, really quick. I will never forget the first time I saw the internet. My parents both worked for the local cable company. Mm-hmm. So we got access to a lot of, we had free cable and stuff like that. And here was this box right by the computer. My stepfather had already set it up and everything, but I didn't know what it was. And I remember looking at it and going, and
Yeah.
And I was like, what's this? And I can remember the screen going up and I was typing something, and that was my first, experience in the internet.
Wow.
And like that's who I was, always curious to be able to, what does this do? Because, by the way, and I'm going to tell you a secret. My secret was I'm not afraid to take a chance because I always know how to undo it. I don't do something that I cannot undo.
Yeah.
Which is
it's got to be reversible.
Pardon me?
It's got to be reversible. You
exactly.
need to be able to reverse it. Okay.
Yeah. So I always took chances because I knew how to reverse what I had done or unplug it from the wall.
And so, you started there and, you already had like just that natural instinct of like, I like to find shortcuts. I like to figure things out. You had that in you. And so how did you transition to now you're literally the go-to person? I mean, we have one of our mentors, Julie Stoian, who's a mentor of ours, and we're in her mastermind, had so many glowing things to say about you, how you were like just this expert that made things so much easier for her. And so how did you get on that road to becoming the go-to person when it comes to technology?
Well, before I had done this business, which is, I'm in my 9th year in this business, I was doing video montages, and I really, really love to create all these photo montages for people. And I was charging people like $1 a photo. And because I'm one of those people who puts all her heart in it, I was there for making like minus $50 an hour. when everything was all said and done. And then the internet evolved more. People didn't need someone like me to create montages. They were doing them themselves. So I needed something that was going to, excite me.
Yeah.
And what I had done when I was creating my montage business, I had learned a lot about marketing. The goal was to be on page 1 of Google for video montage, and I did it.
Awesome.
And as a process, I was learning so much about SEO and all kinds of marketing techniques. So that gave me such a head start because I was doing it for my own, very tiny business. And therefore, when in 2013, when I decided that I wanted to do something more and become a virtual assistant, people told me I was crazy. Don't become a VA. You're never going to make any money doing a VA. Within the second year, I'd already reached 6 figures. So it was like, listen to your heart.
Yeah.
So it was like learning. I'm a constant student, and I love to share. I'm big on what I'm learning. I love to share with my clients. Hey, let's do this, let's do that. So I think that is what helped me become the go-to person for that, because people see I'm hungry for information, I'm learning, I invest in my business and in myself.
I love that. I love that story so much because, again, we have other guests that's been on here, and they kind of started the same way. They saw that there was a need, and they wanted to fill that need. But in the process of trying to fulfill that need for their clients, they were constantly learning, constantly evolving, constantly upgrading their skills. And again, I love that message because that's such an important message wherever you are on the entrepreneurial scale, like whether you're at the top of the game or you're just starting out, everyone keeps learning because things change all the time. So Robyn, let me ask you this. For those who are listening right now, they're probably super impressed about what you'd be able to accomplish, honestly, in a short amount of time. But, what do you do for other entrepreneurs? I know we kind of led off with like the little intro there, but what do you do? What do you do with entrepreneurs who, want to get their message out there? Maybe other service providers want to get their products out there. Maybe people who are looking for a shortcut. Talk about some of the things you do for us.
Well, one of the biggest parts of things that I'm doing right now is I help a lot of people with their virtual summits. So virtual summit is like a list build. And one of the reasons why I love virtual summits, say in comparison to ads, would be when you're done with a virtual summit, you have a warm list that's gotten to know you over, 2 to 45 days. And yes, I've done a summit that was 45 days long.
Really? Oh my gosh.
And she closed all her seats. Like she literally made her goal with the 45-day summit. Wow. I don't necessarily recommend 45 days. I'm just saying like that.
It's been done.
So it was, so that's one of the things. But after you've done a virtual summit, what happens is that people sort of get stuck in that, now what? Yeah. So I help them take that list and, engage with them, sell to them, offer their programs. What are the next steps? And also to continue the relationship with them. Because like I said, I've had some people who I've worked with, they signed up for Summit with me and they've done it. And they just say they had 3,500 new leads. And then they go off for a month on vacation because it's exhausting. I mean, don't get me wrong. A summit is work, even with, support and stuff like that. It is work. Yeah. But that's the terrible time to go on vacation. You want, at least if you're going to go on vacation, make sure you have step 2 already mapped out and in process. And that was something I had learned earlier in the summits because I've done it over 300. So when you've done quite a few, you sort of start seeing the patterns. So I started to see that people were getting lost after the summit. Mm-hmm. So I created the step 2 process, and that's what I help them do. So it's like,
explain that step 2 process for us, for those who are, maybe they're not as savvy marketers, or maybe this is all new. Explain what the step 2 process kind of involves.
Well, once you've done your summit, you have that warm list, as I was saying, you probably will survey the list, and then you don't wait for a long time, meaning you don't wait for 1 week or 2 weeks. You've already decided at what point, if you're going to do a webinar, 3-part video series, a challenge, or all of the above for that matter. And the reason why you're doing that is so that you can have the list continue engaging with you as a teacher, and then you offer your program. Now, this is like the really short Reader's Digest version of it, but it also involves, making sure that the copy is there, the messaging is there, everything is set up so that this audience that you've nurtured for
Yeah.
2 to 45 days really feels that you're the one that's going to help them. And I do want to add something that to me is very, very important, by the way. When I say the audience, sometimes when people think of virtual summits, they think, okay, I'm going to invite someone because I have a list of 5,000 or 10,000 or whatever. And I always use Oprah as an example, because if I were to invite Oprah to my summit, I would probably get like 10,000 new subscribers, right? But at the end of the day, how many of them want to know about summits and funnel building? So they're probably not my ideal audience.
Mhm.
Now, if I were to invite Julie Stoian, like that would be like her audience is exactly, say, the type of audience that I would want to attract. So it's like really getting clear on the kind of audience that you want before, like it's not so much a numbers game as it is the right audience.
Right. It's not so much quantity, it's quality, right?
Exactly.
I mean, again, that
That's
rings
most
true.
important.
That rings true in so many things in our lives. That rings true, especially in this. And so, for those who are listening right now, and you're probably just sitting up in your chair because you're thinking, virtual summit, huh? I mean, maybe you're already running different ads. Maybe you're already doing challenges. Maybe you're already doing all these great things. But if you're not using a virtual summit, so Robyn, tell them, if they're not using a virtual summit, what are they missing out on? What opportunities are they missing out on? What are some of the things that you've noticed at all the years of working with other entrepreneurs and doing virtual summits with them? Talk about some of the things that you've been able to accomplish, or they've been able to accomplish with the virtual summit.
Well, again, like let's talk a little bit about the monetary part just for
Sure.
a quick second, okay? Now, the reason why I like to compare this is it's the quality, again, comes down to the quality of the audience. I've used ads myself, so it's not that I'm against ads or anything like that. So say you pay $5 a lead for a Facebook ad, okay? And you get 1,000 subscribers. So 5 times 1,000, it's going to cost you $5,000. Now, with a virtual summit, let's take that same $5,000 and you'll probably get, say, 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, etc. It really depends on a few factors. Now, let's just say you have 1,000 from the ads and you have 1,000 from the virtual summits. Well, the ads audience is a cold audience. Yeah. So you're going to be putting them through the nurture sequence. And I don't know about you, but I've had the experience where someone signed up from an ad and literally unsubscribed right after, or they're not opening my emails or anything like that, the download and all that. And it's not to say, again, I don't want to say ads are terrible or anything like that.
But they have their place. They have their place.
Exactly. But the virtual summit, in the 2 to 45 days, they've been opening your emails. They've gotten to know your style. They've gotten to know how you're asking their questions to, the questions that they want to know by the influencers or the experts, however you want to call them. So right away, when you have the different types of audience, like eventually your Facebook ad audience, if you're using Facebook ads as an example, they will get warm, but it takes a lot longer. Yeah. And also you have to really sort of have a broader audience when you're doing ads. Whereas when you're doing virtual summits, you're literally inviting people who have your dream audience. So the targeting is even better. Yeah. So that's why I use that as a comparison, because you just get a better quality of lead.
And the leads know you. I mean, again, when you go through that virtual summit, it's kind of like you went through something with someone, as opposed to, hey, you saw something on the ad, maybe you saw a video or something like that, but you actually interacted with this person. And I love that, because again, if you're not using a virtual summit, then look at all the opportunity that people leave on the table right there. So again, that's why I'm so excited to bring you on, because again, so many people, they're not sure what a virtual summit can do or what the opportunities, but we know about that too. But let me ask you this question. Do you have to have, if someone was working with you and they're like, okay, I want to do a virtual summit, but you know what? I'm not like a Julie Stoian. I'm not like a Julia Taylor. I'm not like a Brittany. I'm not like all these people with just these amazing personalities. I'm just me. What would you say to that person if they said that?
I'd say, hey, we're twins. I'm like that too. You know what I mean? I'm more of an introvert than I am an extrovert. But I would still say that that's okay, because first of all, when you're doing an interview, you're doing one-on-one. They're all pre-recorded for the
Yeah.
most part, unless you're a daredevil and you want to do them live.
Yeah.
And that's doable. I've had many clients do their virtual summits live. But for the one who's speaking directly, like, but I'm not that big superstar type of person, or as outgoing as these people are, it's okay. You do a 10 or 21 interview series. You don't even have to call it a summit, call it a series, call it a town hall, call it whatever you desire. But you're talking with people one-on-one, and we can all do that. Like, we can all do that. And the reward is worth it and then some, no matter what.
I love that. I love the fact that so many people, they're not taking advantage of this. And of course, we got the expert, right? The technology queen herself here. But the fact that if you have good content and you have the desire to help more people, then you don't have to have this larger than life personality. You just need to have the right strategy. And I love the fact that you just said that as long as you have the right strategy, anybody can do that. Okay. So for those who are listening, they may be wondering, and obviously we're going to put all her contact information, Robyn's contact information in the show notes and everything. But if they wanted to work with you, what's like the best way? Like, is it just to go to the website? Is there an application, or how does that work exactly?
Well, currently you could just go to my website, which I'm guessing the URL will be below. And what you can do there is, schedule a call with me, because I'm one of those people who wants to speak with you first before, make sure that we're a good fit, make sure I know what it is that you need and all that. And we go from there. It's just, I want it to be, and something that's very important for me is I like to have fun. I'm an introvert who loves to have fun. Yeah. There has to be some laughter. And, when you meet with me, you're going to see that, I want to have some fun, but I want you to have fun, and I want you to achieve your goals. And I really do care about you. Like, just, that's one thing that I'm proud of. My clients know that I care.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I love it. So, you're going to learn a lot more about Robyn here, because we're going to go into the next segment here. We love this next segment. I call it the Big Entrepreneur 3. So, Robyn, you're a self-made entrepreneur. You've learned everything. You created everything. That's why I love having people just like you on the show. So I'm going to ask you some entrepreneur questions. Our viewers and listeners, they know all about this, and they're probably waiting to hear what your answers are. So the first one is share a productivity tip for entrepreneurs. It could be like a digital tip. It could be non-digital. Share a productivity tip with us.
Well, for me, it's called the brain dump. I open click up, and I put everything that's in my head in this one pile of today's brain dump. And from there, I start scheduling in things in importance, what I need to do today, what could be, put off for tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. And then I put my due dates on everything. If I didn't have the brain dump, I would be exhausted even before I start my day. That's a practice that has to be like the first thing or the last thing. Like, if I know tomorrow I have to be up earlier because I have a meeting or something, then I will do the night before, do the brain dump. But it has to be done at least once a day.
Has to be done. I love that. And I love that because people always say, I'm stuck. I don't know what to do. Well, you know what? Just sit there and start, putting everything down. You got to start somewhere. So I love that. And I love the fact that you take it one step further and you actually put due dates on what you write down. You're not just writing it down and just looking at it. It's like, okay, you're actually putting due dates. You're actually making it an actual step. So I love that. Okay. So the next thing is share a tool. Again, this could be digital. It could be old school. I mean, I have like a notepad over here that I still like to write on. I know I could type it on Google Docs. I still like to write things down. So share a tool that has helped you as an entrepreneur, digital or not tool.
Well, again, I would say ClickUp and spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets.
Those are my favorite tools.
Spreadsheets. Let's take that a step further. What kind of spreadsheet? Excel, Google Sheets? What do you prefer?
Google Sheets.
Yeah.
I used to be a big Excel, Microsoft. Hey, I worked on WordPerfect and Lotus.
I remember that too.
So, but Google Sheets, I love the Google Suite, period. It's just easy to communicate with clients that way. And I love to not so much create them, but like I'm the one who's going to buy all those templates and stuff like that, because I love spreadsheets that are already set up for me type
Oh,
of thing.
yes.
So all the math is done. I don't have to think too much. So I'm always looking for that perfect template.
You know, the great thing
Actually, I
about,
just love templates, period.
well, you know, the great thing about templates, it makes you feel like you're like in another level of consciousness, right? Like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like so much faster. I've like upgraded myself. So again, I'm a big fan there, and I'm a big fan of just the Google products because it's just right there. Open up your browser. I mean, whoever invented that for Google, I hope that person has made a lot of money, because that's
Yeah.
probably one of the biggest things other than Gmail. I know, you know, back in the day where I was begging people for an invite, but that's one of those things that bring it in. So I love that. Okay. So this is always a hard one. I always stump a lot of people on this. So to the best, Robyn, the best of your ability, okay, choose one business or self-help book, your favorite one. What's your favorite book?
Utterly impossible, Glenn.
I know,
Because
everyone says it, but pick, but you know what? When you saw the question, when I told you the question, what's the first thing that came to your head?
it was Expert Secrets.
Oh yeah, that's a
Yeah,
classic.
I loved it. It was one of those books where I was just like, oh my God, people have to know about this. I would literally tell clients, and this was probably, let's see, I don't know, I might be 3-4 years ago. I really don't remember, but I remember listening to it and then reading it and thinking, wow, this is really, really good. And I mean, I've read a lot of, I'm a big reader. I'm trying to do, I think I've read every day for the last like 850 days type of thing. I love to read. I read business. Read fiction, romance, history, whatever. I need to read. But there was, when I saw that, I was like, I'm going to sound so cheesy by saying that, but that was the first one that came to mind, because
Yeah.
I remember being excited. And I even have, I guess you can't see it, but I have like the suite behind me, Traffic Secrets, the whole thing. I just really loved what I had learned, and I wanted to
Yeah.
share it with the world.
Well, that's again, when someone wants to get into any kind of digital marketing or anything online, I mean, that is the go-to book, right? And even though it's been out for a while, it's still a classic, right? So again,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great book. That's off my shelf as well. And you know, for someone like you who's read a lot of books, I know it's really hard, right? So everyone gets stumped with that, because everyone who's like an entrepreneur that has like kind of the same values of wanting to get better all the time, you get better by reading and learning, right? So that again, for those who have not read that book, I mean, for someone like Robyn who says that's the first thing that came to her mind, you definitely want to read it. So I love that. Okay, so we're going to shift gears again. And, you know, I always like to talk about things we learned in the past. And I've always said that you learn so much more from your mistakes, right, than your wins, you know? And so in the spirit of that, we're going to do this next segment called Learning from the Past. And I'm going to ask you, what is a big mistake that you learned something important from? And if you're like me, you probably I've made a ton of mistakes, right? Like more than a whole lifetime. But what has stood out that, yeah, you made that mistake, but you learned a lot from? What is that?
Oh, this one's easy. To not treat myself as my own client, to always put myself last. That was something, if I had plans for big launch for myself or anything like that, I put the launch off because my client came first. It was, and now I schedule myself in. Literally, I do everything for myself that I do when I'm preparing a launch for a client. I do the exact same things for myself, timeline, the whole thing, because I would always treat myself last.
Yeah.
That, to me, like, you just, if you're always stuck working, you know, inside your business, not on your business if you're last. So here I am taking care of everybody, but I'm not taking care of Robyn and the technology queen.
Oh my gosh, that is, you know, Robyn, I have a lot of entrepreneurs on my podcast, a lot of amazing ones. You know, a lot of these people too. No one's ever said that, but that is such, and I know they all know it too. They just didn't say it, but that is such an important lesson, right? And not just in business, I would just say in life in general. If you're a parent, you know this all too well, right? Like I know this all too well. Hey, we've got to take care of everybody else. Or if you're taking care of other loved ones and whatnot, sometimes we just put ourselves last. And that is such a sorry for you making that mistake, but such a good lesson, right? Not only in business but personal. That's a great one there. Okay, so we're gonna go back in time here. Okay, if you can jump into that DeLorean or that hot tub time machine, like we go back in time, right? And you could talk to the younger version of Robyn. You can pick any version of Robyn, at any age. If you could do that, what would you say to her? If like she's sitting there just reading her book and you're tapping her on the shoulder and you're gonna tell her something. You only have like a couple of minutes before you go back to the future. Like, what would you tell the younger Robyn?
I would tell her, don't worry, keep it up, work towards a goal, you're going to make it. Don't give up, just keep it up.
Yeah.
And learn code as soon as you can.
There you go. And that's so funny because, there's so many people, and myself included. That's what I would say to my younger self too. It's like, hey, look, just everything will work itself out, because what humans love to do, especially humans who like to, achieve things and like to get better. They also like to talk themselves out of things and beat themselves up.
Yeah.
God, it's just like, it's such a bad trait. So again, I love that. And again, if you ever go back in time, you see the younger version of me, I need you to tell me that, okay? Because that's good.
Promise.
That's good. Okay, so if we were at an event and you were standing there and someone came up to you and they say, hey, Robyn, I love what you're doing. I want to do what you do. And you only had a couple of minutes to explain it to them. What would you say? They want to do what you do.
This is easy, at least for me at this point. This is what I would tell you. I would tell them, I never say no. I would have clients who would ask me to, say create a funnel in my early days, and I wasn't really sure how to use that platform. And I would say, okay, I don't know how to use the platform, always be honest, but I'm going to learn it on my time. I'm not going to charge you for me to learn it, because I used it as a skill for the next time someone needed that. So I had a new tool in my bank or in my box, I should say. So I would just don't say no and learn what you can. Again, it always comes down to, being teachable, being able to learn, and just, hey, Robyn, do you know how to use such and such a thing? No, but I'm going to learn it. That sounds like something I can learn and I can use in my business.
I love that.
That's my advice.
I love that. Such great advice. And again, that applies to anything, whether you're in the digital world or anything else, anyone can learn from that. So I love that. Okay. So Robyn, I learned so much just having you on. And honestly, I'm even more inspired now. I've always kind of like followed you and just amazed at what you did, but I'm definitely more inspired by you now. And I'm sure people who are listening and watching right now, they are too. So we talked about best ways to get a hold of you. Let's kind of talk about that again. So again, if people want to reach out to you to work with you, to maybe they want to kind of pitch to you like what they're trying to do and they can't figure out the technology and they need your expertise. Again, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Well, they can go to thetechnologyqueen.com. And I would say thetechnologyqueen.com, not just any technology queen, but the technology.
Yes.
And go into contact. You can reach me there, or you'll see a nice little pop-up that says let's talk. You can schedule a call, and just put Glenn's name in the subject line, and I'll know that you came from here. And there's also another thing, if it's okay to share.
Yeah, of course, please.
I have a wait list going on right now because I'm going to be teaching people how to do summits. So you can go on thetechnologyqueen.com/waitlist, and we are opening doors next month. And I'm going to be showing people exactly how to launch their virtual summit, how their team can launch their virtual summit for them so that it becomes an even more affordable thing for them, and the whys and all the strategies behind it. I'm like really just sharing everything that I have.
She's over delivering right there, right? Robyn's always over delivering. So again, whether you want her help to actually get things done, or if you want to learn yourself, or you could be an overachiever and do both, learn it and work with her and see how it's done, right?
Yeah.
You got both options there. Robyn, thank you so much for jumping on. Guys, we'll have everything in the show notes. And Robyn, thank you so much. And
thank you, Glenn.
I actually look forward to when you drop that course. I'm gonna have to jump on myself. But thank you so much for being a guest.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
We'll see y'all later. Bye.
Bye.